Hey guys, all right, getting started with the next part of Unit 16. So earlier we looked at reproduction in plants. So both of these are under Unit 16, but I split them in half just because of the amount of information. So now with the second half of the unit, we are diving right into sexual reproduction with humans. And the first part of that we're going to learn about is our male and female reproductive systems. Now, you are going to have a diagram with all of this information provided, as well as notes. So let's go ahead and talk about first our male reproductive system. Now, with our male reproductive system, we're going to have in our notes a table that gives you the main structures that you're going to be responsible for knowing and knowing their function. So first we'll start off with the prostate gland, which is going to be located right here. And they just know that whether it says glands, that is going to be your prostate gland. It produces the fluid called semen that provides sperm cells with its nutrients. Then we have the sperm duct right underneath your prostate gland, so produced here, followed by the sperm duct. As sperm passes through the sperm duct to be mixed with fluids produced by the glands before being passed into the urethra for ejaculation. And then, of course, we have our urethra that comes from the bladder and out the penis. That is the tube running down the center of the penis, so it can carry the urine or semen. And there is a ring of muscle in the urethra that prevents the urine and semen from actually missing, which is very helpful for the way that the male reproductive system is designed. Then you have your testes or your testicles. So you have men are born with two on either side. So the plural of that is testes, the singular is a testes. Plural would be testicles. These are contained in a bag of skin that we refer to as the scrotum and produces sperm, which is the male gamete, and testosterone, which is the male hormone. And I mentioned there, your scrotum is the sac that these are housed in. They support the testes outside the body to ensure sperm are kept at a temperature slightly lower than body temperature, which is very important. So the reason why the scrotum and the testicles are housed outside of the body is that sperm prefer more of a little bit lower than body temperature to be healthy and form in the correct way. So it's incredibly important that those are housed outside of the body. And then, of course, your penis, which passes urine out of the body from the bladder and allows semen to pass into the vagina of a woman during sexual intercourse. Okay, now we will move on to the female reproductive system. Again, this will be provided for you in a diagram, and you will also have access to the table in your notes. As far as the structures that you're going to be responsible for knowing, the structure and function, we will start with the oviduct. The oviduct is right here that connects the ovary to the uterus, and it's lined with ciliated cells to help push the released ovum down it. That ovum is your egg. So your eggs are produced here in the ovary each month or each menstrual cycle that you have, and that egg must travel through the oviduct into the uterus, and it does this with the help of the cilia that are going to help push that egg into the uterus. Now, your ovary again contains the ova, which is your female gamete, which will mature and develop when hormones are released. So all of this occurring is dependent upon female hormones that we will look a little bit more in depth in the next couple sections. You also have your uterus. It's referred to as a muscular bag, so to speak, with soft lining where the fertilized egg or zygote will be implanted to develop into a fetus. So each cycle that you release an egg, your uterus is preparing to house a fertilized egg. The goal of your body is to become pregnant. So this uterine lining is ultimately preparing itself to grow a zygote, which will eventually form into a fetus, a human baby, right? And then we have your cervix. It's right here in between your vagina and uterus. So right at the bottom of the uterus is your cervix. It's a ring of muscle at the lower end of the uterus to keep the developing fetus in place during pregnancy. So it's incredibly important because it keeps everything in the uterus until it's time to deliver that baby. And then, of course, your vagina. It's a muscular tube that leads to the inside of a woman's body. This is where the male's penis will enter during sexual intercourse, and the sperm are deposited, okay? And then we're going to learn about just the way that sperm are designed. They have locomotion, so as they are deposited into a female vagina, they must swim up and into the uterus, make the decision to go right or left, and if there is an egg waiting on either side, then at least one of them may get lucky if conception occurs. The only other thing we need to cover for this unit are gametes and fertilization. For this section, fertilization is the fusion of the nuclei from a male gamete, which is the sperm cell, and a female gamete, which is the egg cell. It occurs in the oviduct. So important to know. So sperm meets egg, and I'm going to show you back up in the picture. Sperm meets egg in the oviduct tube right here that connects the ovary to the uterus. So this is where fertilization occurs. It does not occur in the uterus. It does not occur down here in the vagina or the cervix area. It occurs in the oviduct. Okay? Now, let's get back to our section so you can kind of see where I am. Gametes have adaptations to increase the chances of fertilization and successful development of an embryo. So you have been adapted to make more babies, which is what our body wants to do. We want to procreate. Sperm cells, they have a flagellum or a tail, and they contain enzymes in the head region of the sperm cell called the acrosome that's going to break down the barrier of the egg cell to physically get its genetic material into that egg cell or the ovum. Your egg cell has adapted to contain a great amount of cytoplasm that can store more energy to help it stay alive longer. And then the jelly-like coating that changes after fertilization. So something that's really cool. Once the sperm cell enters into the ovum, the jelly-like coating of that ovum completely changes. It is going to stop any other sperm cells from getting in because it's already got its one. And then that half of those chromosomes from the father, half from the mother, start working together to form that first individual cell that's the new creation. And that develops into, like you and me. That's how we got here. It's really cool. It's cool. All jokes aside, I know it's this is a tough unit for maturity for those of y'all that struggle in that area, but it's truly an amazing process. This would be the images that you're going to have on a diagram that will be responsible for understanding just the layout of each of these. Here's that acrosome tip that's filled with enzymes to break down the ovum's first layer, the cell membrane. It's a haploid nucleus, which we'll discuss. And then, of course, the mid piece containing many, many mitochondria for increased energy, for locomotion, for the sperm's tail. And then the egg cell. You've got your cell membrane, of course, that haploid nucleus, lots of cytoplasm, and of course, the mitochondria. And I believe, let's see, this is going to be a table that I'll provide for you. Just the adaptations of the gametes explained in a little bit more depth. So this, again, will be provided for you in notes. And then we can compare the male and female gametes, size and structure. Sperm, there are millions of them produced where there's just one egg cell produced for the female. As far as the structure, completely different. You could see from the images of how the sperm cell has a head and a tail, where the egg cell is just large, round, and a few structural adaptations. The motility, sperm can move, egg cells cannot. They just get helped to move with the cilia inside that oviduct. And of course, like numbers. Men produce around 100 million per day, where women and females are just working on that one ovum, that one egg cell throughout one menstrual cycle. Sometimes women can release more than one. It is possible, but typically, on average, it's that one per menstrual cycle. Next, we'll look at pregnancy and birth. But go ahead, get your diagrams filled out, your notes taken, your CFUs, you've got some ed puzzles, and then move on to your assignment for the day. Good job, guys.